Hi, Bruce Johnson, founder of Wired to Grow, and today I want to talk to you about 5 huge mistakes that business owners and entrepreneurs frequently make when they're trying to scale their business. I mean, the good news is that you want to scale your business. The bad news, you're going to make some mistakes. Now, the choice is up to you. You can either make the mistakes that everyone else seems to make, or you can make new and different ones. Personally, I'd opt for the second. I'd rather make new or different mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but why make the same mistakes that everyone else tends to make? So if you'd like to avoid all of this, and maybe do a little bit of this, I want to encourage you to listen to today's video on how to avoid these 5 huge mistakes in scaling. The first one that I see frequently is that business owners try to scale their business with a business model that's just not very scalable. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I often talk about the fact that scalability in and of itself is scalable, right? You have totally unscalable business models, you have totally scalable business models. You know, on this end, you've got the person like I was at 12 and 13, mowing lawns, right? It's a totally unscalable business model because I had to actually be out there mowing the lawn. And when I was mowing the lawn, obviously I couldn't be marketing. That's not very scalable. On the other hand, you've got something like Facebook, a SaaS company, software as a service, very scalable model, right? Most of us are somewhere in between. And so if you're over on this end, you've got to figure out, how do I keep moving over here? For example, some of you have a business model where you go to the marketplace and you say, what differentiates us is that we customize what we're doing just for you. Well, the problem of customization is that it's not very scalable, right? Because every customer, every client is unique and different, and you can't scale that fast. Or if you have a business model where you put somebody out in the field, they do work, they bill that time, you put that in your accounting system, you send out an invoice, you wait 30 days for that money to come in. Well, you have to pay them usually 45 days before you get cash. So if you're really successful and you start growing like this, bad news, you go out of business. Okay, that's not a very scalable business model. So if your business model isn't scalable, you can't scale. So that's the first problem you always have to solve, the scalability question about your business model. The second mistake that we often see with business owners and entrepreneurs when they try to scale is they wait too long to hire. They wait too long to hire. And this makes complete sense. You have revenue coming in, and why add an extra expense? What happens is then you wait too long, then all of a sudden you hit a plateau and you go, oh, I need to hire somebody. Then you get the job description together, then you try to go find the person, then you hire the person, then you onboard the person, then it takes time for them to become productive. And let's say that takes 6 months. So you went like this, you hit this, now you take off again, and then again you wait too long and you hit another plateau. So if you want to get away from plateau world, then you want to figure out, well, let's say it takes 6 months. Then 6 months before you think you hit that inflection point, that moment right there, that's when you have to start the hiring process so they get in, they get onboarded, and they get productive. So therefore you keep scaling. Most business owners wait too long. Don't wait. Hire ahead of demand. That's number 2. Number 3, the third problem that we see frequently with business owners, this is a huge mistake, is they don't let go of people whose capacity has been exceeded. Back in my old church days, we used to say that the person who can get a church to 200 frequently is the person who can get it to 400 frequently is the person who can get it to 800 frequently is the person who can get it to 1200 frequently is the person who can get it to 2000. Now, some of your staff will be able to make all those transitions, but a lot of them won't. What happens when you hold on to those people too long is they create organizational drag, first of all, so you're not growing as fast as you could. And secondly, you're not able to bring in the talent that can accelerate your growth and keep you scaling. So if you want to keep scaling, you've got to be nice and generous to those people whose capacity has been exceeded because they helped you get to that point. Give them generous severance, be nice, get them out, bring in the new talent, and you'll be able to keep scaling. So if you want to avoid that mistake, make sure you let go of people whose capacity has been exceeded. It is the right thing to do for them. It's the right thing to do for you. Don't hold on too long. Mistake number 4 is they try to do too much. Try to do too much. So, you start getting up, let's say you're up to $500,000, $750,000, and you start going, well, maybe we need to add another product or another service line. And then you add another one, and then you add another one, because you think that if we keep adding more stuff, then we're going to get more revenue in. The reality is that you usually get farther by taking 1 or 2 things and just keep driving them and getting better and better at those. You can build a multi-million-dollar business on one product or one service. So instead of keep adding stuff, focus in on one thing, become unbelievably great at that one thing. The same thing happens in marketing. You'll see this happen. Small businesses, they say, hey, let's do, in social media world, let's do some Facebook, and let's do some YouTube, and some LinkedIn, and let's go some Twitter, let's do a little Pinterest and Instagram, and and you keep adding on more and more stuff, thinking, hey, if we do all these things, then we're going to get more customers. The reality is that you can build a really great business on one of those platforms. There are people who build multi-million-dollar platforms on Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook, but they don't build them on all of those platforms. So find 1 or 2 or 3 major marketing things and do those. Don't try to do too much. If you want to scale, you've got to become really, really good at only a handful of things. Simplicity is your friend, not complexity. That's mistake number 4. And then the 5th and final mistake we frequently see with business owners and entrepreneurs when they try to scale is that they don't pay attention to culture fit when they try to hire. So now if you're starting to hire ahead of demand, the idea is I got to get a bunch of people in here and I need to get some really talented people in here. And so people start hiring too fast and they hire people who aren't culture fits, maybe who have a skill set, and they think that's going to make them grow. But what happens when you don't pay attention to culture fit is you get internal struggles, internal fights, and you end up firing a lot of those people. Now, I'll give you a classic example. Small business, let's say you're doing a couple $1 million a year. And so what you think is, if we want to scale, we need to find someone really good at this. So let's go find somebody who is a marketing person at a Fortune 100 company. And you hire that person, you bring them in, you pay them a boatload of money thinking they're going to help scale. And you know what? They don't. Why? Because they're a bad culture fit. They were used to coming up with ideas and then giving them a bunch of people who would do everything. In your small business, everybody does a little bit of everything, right? And most of them don't have admins. They don't have a bunch of people they can just delegate. They actually have to do work, radically different. Or let's say you have a really collaborative team environment and you hire somebody who's really good, but they just like working on their own. Well, that's a culture fit problem. Or let's say you're really dedicated to excellence and that really matters to you, and then you hire somebody who might have some skill sets, but they really don't pay attention to the little details. That's a major culture fit. That's going to be a problem. And so if you want to avoid organizational drag, if you want to keep scaling, you always want to pay attention to the culture of the person and the culture of business and make sure those two things fit. Because skill sets, you can find people with skill sets all over the place. But culture fit, that's what people really do. And if you want to avoid conflict and you want power groups getting around and all that crap in your business, then make sure you're always paying attention to culture fit in your hiring. That's a major plus, and if you don't pay attention, major mistake. So there you go. Those are 5 major mistakes. If you want to avoid them, fix your business model, make sure it's scalable. Secondly, hire ahead of demand. Thirdly, make sure you let go of your people graciously whose capacity has been exceeded. Fourthly, make sure you focus in on a few things instead of doing too many things. And finally, make sure you always pay attention to culture fit. Do those 5 things, you can avoid those 5 mistakes. I mean, why pay the dumb tax other people have paid? Learn from their mistakes and make new mistakes that are better and different. Well, hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it has, I encourage you to share it with some other business owners and entrepreneurs. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our new YouTube channel. We're focusing this channel completely on helping people like you scale their businesses. Until next time, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.